So in this video, I'm going to talk about what I call lightning fast altered rhythms that hopefully will help you to attain great speed at the piano. And on this channel, I hope to share with you thoughts, strategies, insights, methods, etc., often of my own creation that I hope will help you in your piano playing, hopefully other areas of your life as well. So altered rhythms, of course, means that they're different from the original rhythms that were notated on the page. And in my mind, their main purpose is so that I can play little tiny sections. They can be larger, but often they're tiny sections faster, or in this case, much faster than the original speed, such that the original speed actually seems slower, easier in comparison, both psychologically and likely literally, physically. And this is sort of the opposite thinking in my own conception of this, like the way that I think of it compared to metronome practice. Because this is just, I'll say it's just one component of the whole. It's not only lightning fast altered rhythms that enables one to play quickly. And one of the other components in what I think of as my physical methodology is this idea of metronome cycling, which I've also made a video about on my channel. And the idea of using the metronome, a lot of the time, I will start with a much slower speed and then attain a very, very good quality at that very slow speed. Then I'll attain hopefully a very good quality at a slow speed, and then like a medium slow speed, then a medium speed, etc. So we're ramping up gradually from slower to medium to faster, etc., while preserving quality, because it's too difficult to maintain quality at the full speed. So then why in the world would we play even faster than the real speed? In this case, for my own playing at least, when I'm doing little tiny chunks, if it's just 2 notes, 3 notes, 4 notes, sometimes it could be a little bit more, but often it's just a very small number of notes, very tiny sections. The sections are small enough that it's possible to maintain quality, right? So it's hard to play like 16, 20, 50 notes in a row to quality at a hyper fast speed, but it is possible to play them up to quality if it's only 2 notes, if it's only 4 notes, possibly. Although even playing 2 notes up to quality the way that I want to, the way that we intend to, it can still sometimes be a challenge, of course. But anyway, I just wanted to share some of, I don't know if they're entirely unique insights, but I've spoken with many other musicians, pianists, colleagues. I haven't heard altered rhythms practiced or talked about specifically in this way, so hopefully this is useful to you. So often what I hear in the practice rooms, or not what I hear, but what I heard, because I stopped being a student quite a while ago. I'm getting a little bit older. I would probably hear or see something like this. So we might hear like, or like, right? And the passage in the end is supposed to be something like this. And the intention when the student's practicing is like, oh, you're playing from C to G faster, and then from A to B faster. But really, compared to the real speed that we want to attain in the end, if we want to play this quickly, hypothetically, I mean, that's just not fast enough. In fact, it's not even as fast as that real speed. So I always want to do them as snappy as possible, and there are some other parameters as well. So when I practice altered rhythms, it sounds more like this. Or maybe like, or it could be a, or you delay this by 1. Okay, so I'm going to start to break down what exactly I'm doing. It's not just that I'm playing extremely quickly. And there's different variations on this too. I'm going to outline 4 parameters that I often will say to myself and to students. There are variations on this. Not everything needs to be followed like for instance, I'll talk about in a moment how the preceding note or notes should be as soft as possible. That's probably the one that I vary the most. Sometimes they might be as soft as possible. A lot of the time it's very helpful. Other times I might play the normal volume. But let's just do the default version. So the first thing is that, like I just said, the preceding note or notes are as soft and light as possible, barely even touching the surface of the key. And I'll talk about this more, I'm sure, in other videos on this channel. So it's like a triple piano type of sound. And I'd say that that's a big part of the secret to why I can do certain things in my playing, like the ability to play very, very, very soft sometimes. So when I say very soft, I mean like I'm really like, it's not all the way to the bottom of the key. Like if I go like this, there's no sound, right? So then how about, okay, no sound. So whatever is the barest possible amount of sound at the middle of the key, the surface of the key, however you conceive of it, not even all the way to the bottom, barely even touching. So every note except for the last note, I'm going to play at that volume. And I'm not trying to be extra careful. I'm still completely relaxed. I'm not going to go into great detail with technique here, for the sake of the length of this video. But basically, you'll stay completely relaxed still. And we're not like keeping our wrists tense or anything, but just barely even touching it. And then the second note, if I'm playing two notes, will be nice and loud. But like I said, every note except for the last note will be very soft, like this. If I were to play two notes, it would be like, right? So this one was still very, very soft. And it'll sound almost like a little detached because of how I'm just barely even touching it. If I play three notes in very slow motion, it would be like, so it's like every note except for the last note is very, very super soft, very light, very much the surface of the key, not to the bottom of the key. The second parameter, as you probably notice, is that the last note is very nice and loud. It's a nice, healthy loud. It is not pressed hard. It's not forced. It's just a good, weighty, loud sound, which is also a very important overall component in my physical methodology. So again, the final note, still with good technique and relaxation, that might be a good loud, right? Or like, so if I play like two notes, like, very, very, very soft first note, and then very nice and loud second note. Or like, so I could probably be more relaxed. Okay, that's a little bit better. The third parameter is that, and I think I've already been demonstrating this, it is as fast as possible while still preserving quality. So I just don't think that people are practicing altered rhythms snappy enough. What I illustrated before, when you go like da-dum, 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 or like bum, ba-dum, da-dum, da-dum, I'm not saying that this is completely useless or pointless. I think that it can be useful in some contexts just to practice the transition between different notes and so on. And I think any kind of variation, mixed practice, like that's very in line with the learning research. It forces us to pay attention to the notes in a different way. We perhaps are more attuned to the specific relationship between these two notes or three notes or whatever it is. But I mean, you can tell even just from the way I'm humming or playing it, ba-dum, da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. I mean, that's not going to lead to virtuosic playing. It's not going to lead to fast playing compared to normal people, let alone truly virtuosic playing. So really we're trying to break the sound barrier here, or, we're trying to basically surpass our limits here within very tiny little sections while still remaining completely relaxed and with good technique, of course. And so I'm really about this lightning fast, maximum snappiness, just right? So it's pretty much an instantaneous. So this note, what is this length before this note appears? Pretty much you just you're already, like there's no time when you're like, I'm on this note and then I play the next one. So I'm barely even touching the thumb, and then I play the second finger. And then I'm barely even touching the third. I'm still holding the second finger. I think that's a good habit. Barely even touching the third finger, and then I play the fourth finger. Right, so I'm holding this. So when I'm holding this is just because that was the second note of the previous pair when I did this. And now I'm going to play 3, 4, and the 3 I'll barely even touch, and then the 4 I'm going to hold. Okay. Anyway, and then the fourth point is to hold the last note and to relax everything else as completely and instantaneously as possible. And this is also a recurring theme in my physical methodology. And when I say physical methodology, it's basically just all my thoughts on technique, but wrapped up in this nice little term or phrase for my students. So this idea of holding and relaxing, and when you relax as instantaneously as possible, as completely as possible. It's used in many other areas of my physical practice as well, but I think it's particularly important here for a number of reasons. And I won't go into great depth, but really like the unevenness in one's playing when you're playing very quickly, it often comes about from holding the preceding note or notes a split second, a fraction of a second longer than we're originally intending to. And that causes that little bit of rhythmic unevenness. And if you're able to, instantaneously or near instantaneously relax your fingers, they'll be ready to play the next note. So really, like, one of the greatest secrets to speed is just relaxation. Are you absolutely completely relaxed, or is it that you have this tiny little modicum of tension such that you arrive at the next note a tiny bit slower, causing unevenness? And so are you completely relaxed? Are you instantaneously relaxed? Is there a slight delay in your relaxation such that it causes you to be late? So that's a big part of the secret to it. So if I go like, let's say I'm still tense here, well, can I relax it right away? So I hold this. If there's fingers in the air, relax them, relax wrist, arm, shoulder, everything else. At least the obvious fingers here, you want to relax them immediately. If I play, I had a YouTube short that performed very well for some reason when I'm playing the beginning of Chopin Etude Opus 10 number 1. And a big part of that too is that I'm not going just, I'm like, like that quick. Sorry, yeah. So you can see my other fingers, I mean, they kind of like pop up and then just flop down pretty much instantaneously if I'm playing Winter Wind. So there's not really too much of fingers in the air for a long time. Now, you might be wondering, like, okay, that's great, David, that you can do that, but what do? I'm not able to relax that fast. I would first start with the completeness. So if you're going, for instance, like this, or let's just do 2 notes. So if your fingers are here, just make sure that they're completely relaxed, and make sure your wrist is completely relaxed. When you move it up and down a bit, is your shoulder, arm, etc., are those completely relaxed? Feel the heaviness from it if you just sit here and, it's just gravity weighing down on you nice and heavy, right? So you want to try to find that. And then if you find that, very, very slowly at first, like you go like this, and it takes you like, 5 to 10 seconds to completely relax, how about trying to reduce that time down to like 3 seconds? And with consistent practice, the amount of time it takes for you to get from tense to completely relaxed should decrease very significantly. And then, of course, it's always hard to go the last few percentage points, as with anything else. And the completeness of the relaxation is, I mean, honestly, this starts to go into like meditation and awareness of your own body. I'm sure I'll talk about this more in another video, but it's, you're responsible for your own body. No teacher can fix every bit of relaxation for you. They can fix the signs that we can see. They can ask you questions, but whether you're absolutely 100% relaxed, honestly, it's impossible for anybody to know but you. And so I think a really good thing to ask yourself is, am I feeling pretty much the same as when I'm just like sitting here right now, assuming that I'm relaxed? And then once I put my hand on the piano, is it different? Once I play a note and I hold it and I'm trying to relax completely while doing this exercise, does that feel pretty much the same in every other part of my body? And you really want to meditate on that and stay in those last notes for much longer. So those are the components to this lightning fast altered rhythm method or tip or whatever it is that you want to call it. And I would start with just pairs of notes. So if you have like a continuous line of 16th notes, you could see from what I was doing that I was just doing like the first two and then the next two and then the next two and then the next two. And I'll just illustrate that once more. By the way, this is a variation from Beethoven Variations in C minor. Yeah. And the next two, or next part is like, right, and then you can delay them by one. So you play one note, and you can play the next two. Okay. And then, I did groups of four here. I would do like group of four. You can break this down further too. You can do like the first two, the first three. You can do all four. You can do like the last two of these. You can do like the last three. You can do like all, right? So there's many different ways. There's strategy within strategy. You can break down, like we're breaking down things already. And then whatever thing it is that we have, once we've broken it down, you can break that down as well. But this video will be like 2 hours long if we do that. So we'll just leave it at that. So then you can do like one and then group of four. You can do like two notes and then four. You can do three notes. Sorry. Right, so since I can easily do these, that is part of the reason why it's not hard for me to play faster, and it's not hard for me to play this with great speed compared to the regular person. And I'll just say that this also will really help you to cultivate a very soft touch as well too. So for instance, because I'm practicing doing this, or combined with my metronome cycling, other aspects of my physical methodology that I'll talk more about in other videos. If you search on my channel, there is a video on metronome cycling. So I think that that's really useful combined with this, and I'll talk about it more in future videos too, I'm sure. So if I'm playing, I can also play partially because of these lightning fast altered rhythms, I have control over the hopefully very, very soft dynamics. And it's partially because, like I said, the preceding note or notes are super, super quiet, right? So just to reiterate the 4 points in terms of lightning fast altered rhythms. First one is the preceding note or notes, every note except for the last note, is as soft and light as possible, barely even touching the surface of the key. The second point is that the final note is really nice and loud, not pressed or forced. It's just a nice, healthy, loud. Third point is that it's as fast as possible while preserving quality. And so super, super snappy, lightning fast, so to speak. And the fourth point is to hold the final note and then relax everything else completely and instantaneously. I'd say, look, that's 4 different points. There are points within each of these 4 points. I would say perhaps just start with one of them first and see if you can do that well. And I talk about layering a lot on this channel. I talk about the layering of strategy, like different techniques and things like adding and reverse, interleaving, spaced repetition, etc. But physical things you layer as well too. Musical things you can layer as well too. So it's still the same general idea. You don't try to chase 4 rabbits at once and catch none of them, or whatever the expression is. It's probably usually 2. So try to get one thing to a high quality, and then you can start doing the next thing. Maybe now you're playing the preceding note or notes very, very quiet, and the last note nice and loud, but it's not quite lightning fast yet. That's okay. And then once that gets going, then gradually you can start to add in other parameters. Now, I'll just say as I wrap up this video, everything that I talked about in this video in terms of lightning fast altered rhythms, it is actually not my main means of technique acquisition. My default technique is actually metronome cycling, and then I do these as asides, meaning like the metronome cycling is the main program or the main show that you're watching, and these lightning fast altered rhythms, they're essentially the commercial breaks. So perhaps I'll expand on that more in another video. And also, even that is these are just components of my physical methodology, which are in turn just components of like all the rest of my methodologies and philosophies, etc., in terms of piano practice. So if there's anything you're curious about, any point I brought up that you'd like me to expand upon, I would be happy to do that. And I'm conscious of these videos. Sometimes they're running a little bit longer. I'm giving more examples. I want it to be very like if I were literally teaching a lesson to you, but thankfully you can just watch it here on YouTube, and hopefully it's valuable to you. So yeah, if you found this valuable, please subscribe, let people know about the channel, and let me know what else you'd like to hear about. Looking forward to the next one.